network security monitoring. In this video, I want to show you how you can test your monitoring tools, monitoring software. What you can do to check if the system that you decided to buy and pay £50,000 is up and running. Of course, I'm kidding. I'll just show you how I test a few things in my network. It is really important. I decided to record a video and show you that topic. It sounds like a very specific topic, but it is important. A lot of people buy a piece of software like that and they don't really test it. They just, they just set it up, test it during the first phase, and that's it. Then they add a lot of sensors and they don't test anything. And it's not that they're lazy. Do you know why? Well, because it is not easy to test it. It's not easy. And the reason for that is, let's say you have OSPF, right? Let's say you have OSPF. What's wrong with this thing? Just give me a moment. Okay, I fixed it. The reason for that is that it's not easy to test it. Sometimes it's not even possible to test it. Let's say you have a router, right? And this router is running OSPF and VRFs and VPNs, right? If you really want to test it, you should bring the OSPF down, change something in VRFs, and tweak your VPNs. Of course, almost all applications like that will allow you to test a sensor, to go and check a value, make sure that it's okay. But my question is, and that is a real example. Let's say you want to check that your power supply unit in a 3750 is okay and there are no issues with it. Yeah? What you can do, you can find an SNMP OID, object ID, right? And you can ask an application like that, and can you go and check every 5 minutes? Go and check, right? And your switch will tell you, yes, power supply unit number 1 is up and running. 5 minutes later, power supply unit number 1 is up and running, and so on. Well, one day your switch dies, right? Literally, it just dies, and you say, what's wrong? And that was the power supply unit. Why? Well, because there was a bug in the iOS and in this SNMP object ID, OID, and it didn't work. It didn't report what it was supposed to report. And as far as I remember, that was a power supply unit issue with that switch. As far as I remember, I can't guarantee that was the case. I remember there was a bug in SNMP messages, and a switch was very happy to report power supply was okay, even though it was not. Yeah, that is a really dangerous situation. Now a question is, how do you want to test it? Well, you should pull it out, right? There are 2 power supply units, or you have, a stack of 3850s, whatever, or 2 power supplies, yeah, let's say 4500s, right? You have a switch like that with 2 power supplies. You should literally pull it out and test it. Well, it's not an easy task if this network is up and running at the moment, right? Of course, you can schedule that on Sunday morning and do that. Yeah, please remember, it's not easy to test all these things. Of course, we should trust that Cisco will not make 99 out of 100 OIDs in a way that they're not going to work. I can tell you that's not the case. It's still, it can happen, right? That's why you should test as many things as possible, right? With OSPF, it's pretty easy. You can always check, yeah, and see if OSPF, OSPF neighbors will change from time to time. They will change it. OSPF will change its status, right? It can go from I don't know, DR to BDR, right? DR other, whatever. It will change, right? Areas will change, routing tables will change. You should keep an eye and see if you receive in SNMP application what you expect to see. I want to show you how I test my Nagios server. Do you remember the Nagios? I showed you that. Let me. Oops. What the hell? I just put my pen on the tablet. Where is it? Okay. That's the Nagios server that I use. And when we go to the main page, where was it? That's the one. You will see that. What's wrong? Here we go. You'll see that everything is in green, what I want to see. Yeah? Now, how can I test it? It's just a pain in the ass. Why? I'm just clicking on it and it's not working. What's wrong with this thing? Here we go. Thank you. Okay. Please note that all my ports are in green. Yeah? Nagios is saying, well, bandwidth is 0.1, yeah, or just whatever, everything is okay. Can you trust it? And the answer is you should not. You should test it. How can you test it? That's pretty easy. You can generate some traffic, right? You can copy some files, download from the internet or copy in your local area network. And I want to show you how I test it. To make it more complicated, to be honest, I want to make sure that I go through, I will use an Ether channel, right? And I don't remember where my servers and computers are connected. Yeah, it's a switch, in most cases you don't really care, you just patch. Well, maybe servers you should label your ports, but a lot of companies don't do that. Well, they should. Well, I don't. I have a rack next to me. I can always check that. And the problem is I don't have this rack next to me. I am recording that session remotely. I use VPN and I can't really check that. I could ask my fiancée, but it's like, well, she's not technical, so she will say, oh, I don't know, this green thing is, I don't know. Okay, so I cannot spend 5 hours explaining to her what a switch is. That's why we'll use some CCNA skills to track it down. I'll show you what I mean. Let me get rid of all these things. Okay, I'll show you what the problem is. You can treat that as a small challenge. I'm pretty sure it will be easy for you, but I have 2 HP switches. But that doesn't matter. The CLI is like on a Cisco switch. And 2 Cisco 3550s. 2 Cisco core switches. What's wrong with this thing? Okay. Now, I know they're connected like that. There's an Ether channel everywhere. I have got a management PC, 172.16.1.21, and a server, or 2 servers to be more specific, 172.16.1.2 and .8. There's .9 as well, right? What I want to do, I want to copy a file from this guy to one of these servers. However, I want to make sure they are not connected to the same switch, right? Because Nagios is not going to report anything because it will be copied locally, right? I don't want that. I would like to find a device that is connected to an HP switch number 1, go like that and copy it to a server that is connected to my second switch. Why? Well, because Nagios should report something here and here, right? Maybe CPU, whatever, yeah? CPU no, but bandwidth it well, yeah? Okay, how can I do that? Let's say you don't have a network diagram, right? You want to make it happen, yeah? You want to check it. How can you do that? Well, let's check. Let's see. First of all, let's telnet to one of the HP switches. We changed. Ooh. There you go. I changed the font for you so you can see that. That'll do. Good. I want to keep the network diagram on the screen. Show interface brief. It's not show IP interface brief, but the idea is the same. Here you can see 2 Ether channels. 17, 18, 19, and 20. The problem is I don't know where my PC is, okay? But I know the IP address. What can I do? Well, I can ping it from the switch. And I can do show ARP. I can see the MAC address, and it was trunk 2, right? It means that this MAC address arrived from that port, which is an Ether channel. It means I know that 172.16.1.21 is somewhere behind this trunk 2, which is an Ether channel. The good thing is that when I do show interface brief, I think I should find some description. When I do show run, yeah, please note that's not bad. Yeah, we can see that there is an Ether channel, 17, 18, and 19 and 20. Yeah, and we know it goes to core 1 and core 2. Now, trunk 2 is port 17 and 18. It means I know that this MAC address arrived from core 1, from here. I know one more thing. There are no end devices connected to my core switches, and that makes sense. That's what we try and do in the real world as well. It means that 172.16.1.21 has to be on HP switch number 2. Does that make sense? That's the CNA, but okay, let me ping .2 now. Show ARP. .2 is 26. Nice. Okay. To verify that, just to double check, I will telnet to the other guy, the other HP switch, 172.16.1.4. There we go. Let me do show ARP, see if it's in here. 21, that's port 25. Okay, it means that I can use, I can use this one and that one. Because this one is over here and this one is over here. It means that when I copy a file from 172.16.1.21, I will copy that to 172.16.1.2. I will go like that. It means that Nagios should complain about the bandwidth, because this is my local area network, right? And I will copy like, I don't know, 10 gigabytes, right? We leave it for 10 or 15 minutes, and that should be enough for Nagios to trigger some alerts. We'll do that in part 2. Thank you very much.